Welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. This is the finals of the Great Ironcast Company of Heroes 3 Mini Stress Test Tournament. If you have not watched the semi-finals, damn it, you've spoiled it for yourself. But the matches are pretty good, so go back and check those out. It's not about the results, it's about the carnage. My name's Inuki, here to share the love of this game and to share the name of today's commanders, the last ones standing. Positioned in the south with the misfortune of leading the British. Won't someone please think of the colonies? It's Rathem Stason. That means over in the north, they've gone from scanning barcodes at a checkout to one of the Führer's finest. It's the Wehrmacht General Lidledede. This is Road to Tunis, and as already mentioned, this map has a lighting bug, and much of the graphics have already been improved in the game because this was an older build. The improvements pretty radical. You can go check them out yourselves with the newer content. Whilst our players capture territory, we'll run announcements and some introductions, particularly for new players who are looking to see what all the fuss is about. Now, the winner of this tournament was going to get the ultimate cash prize, which was all of the world's money. But I've been told that I don't have the authority to make that kind of promise. So instead, I've reached out to sponsors and we've managed to arrange a lifetime supply of butlers. Thanks to the British Butler Institute on that one. Right now, if you enter the code BUTTLEMEUP, you'll get 1 month of free buttling. Alternatively, if you're interested in Company of Heroes 3, you could use the Ironcast promo code. Why should you get this game? Well, I don't want to alarm you, but this is the best RTS game in the universe right now. I don't know what the Ironcast promo code does, and we may never know its true purpose, but it's there in the video description. If you are a new player, a little bit about Ironcast and myself, we're a community-orientated channel, and whilst we will cover what the pros are up to, our main focus is to have a jolly good time. So besides just helping you play either to have more fun or perform better, we want to do things which are just fun to watch. For example, if you would like to do your own mini-faction tournament like this one, maybe with random strangers or a group of friends, get in touch and let's see if we can make it happen. I've got a lot of production ideas I'd like to do for Company of Heroes 3, and it's only possible if you pop down to the discord.me/Ironcast and help out. It's very lonely there at the moment. Oh, and if you want help with video production, because you want to make your own content, just send a ping, it's really chill. Okay, enough announcements, I'm bored of them. Let's get on with the game. Now, for our new players, we have British sappers engaging the Grenadiers. They jump over the wall. Now, the Grenadiers have bolt-action rifles, so they would prefer to be far away. Rathem Stason moves the SMG sappers up close and denies that cover, so they kind of win that trade there, and then disengages behind the high wall, breaking that line of sight with Fog of War. Even in a simple engagement like that, this is what makes Company of Heroes 3 an extremely pleasurable tactical experience. In a classic RTS game, when two units fire upon each other, one unit will always win against the other. However, here though, sappers would win up close, whilst Grenadiers would win at a distance, so the sappers have to try and get close. They have to close the gap, but whilst infantry moves, they typically are less accurate too. Another engagement, the sappers are pretty beat up this time. They take cover behind a truck. They're facing off against two Grenadier squads this time. The infantry section will assist them. The Grenadiers falling back to a longer distance. It's also about focus fire as well. Two squads focusing one down. Every time a soldier falls in battle, the squad does less damage. One less pair of hands to shoot a gun. Squads can be healed up and reinforced back to full strength. This is done mostly back at the base, but there are ways you can do it out in the field too. Leading to the war of attrition. It costs a resource called manpower to train squads and to reinforce them. So one element of the game is to kill more enemy soldiers than your own. I mean, in general, don't try to kill your own soldiers, but you understand what I mean. Make the opposing commander have to use more resources to revitalize their army. You may also notice that our commanders spend less time looking at their own base. Now, there is base building in the game, but your resources is through map control. The more territory you have, the more resources you get. There are 3 resources: manpower, fuel, and munitions. Generally, you use manpower for building squads and tanks, fuel for vehicles and upgrades, and ammo for upgrading units and using abilities like calling in aeroplanes or artillery. I noticed that Lidledede has built some relatively poor barbed wire around the middle victory point. Pioneers have done a terrible job. So, there is one more resource to account for, and that is time. There are 3 points on the map denoted as stars, and at the top of the screen, a red and blue bar. You start with 500 points. If you run out of points, you lose. You are defeated. If you have more victory points than your opponent, then your opponent's points decrease over time. I think that's all the basics out of the way. Look at this blob of grenadiers. They're getting a machine gun that's making their way. Usually not a good idea to ball up your infantry like this because of grenades, suppression, mortars, flamethrowers, and it's easy to flank. On some occasions, though, it's a tactical decision. British infantry get outside of the building and retreat to base. It's hard to force enemies out of buildings, but that's what Lidledede was doing, all bundled up like that. Now they're fanning out, getting burnt by the sappers who have got a flamethrower. Flames will do increased damage to units inside of buildings. So that grenadier squad heads on home. I saw Rathem Stason was upgrading one of their munitions points. That'll give them more ammo per minute. Now, every infantry section can be upgraded in 3 ways, but they all cost ammo. So that's why Rathem Stason wants that additional ammo. The first upgrade is a recon package. Gives them 2 scoped Lee Enfield rifles, good for long-range fights, and as a bonus, they can fire flares which provide vision at a long distance. The second upgrade is AT rifles, useful against light vehicles, and the third is a Bren machine gun, which is just in general a good upgrade, better up close than Lee Enfields, but it does cost more to upgrade. Grenadiers in open ground against flamethrowers will take less damage because they're not as bunched up. Flamethrowers will end up doing more damage to units behind cover, especially in light cover. Units just tend to bundle up more near light cover. So, Rathem Stason has pushed along the northern border, taking the all-important fuel resource there. Lidledede shifted their focus along the bottom of the map instead and are trying to equalize the fuel income by taking that fuel point with the Kettengrad. Fuel points can often be high points of contestation, as it's directly associated with tech upgrades. So for the Brits and Wehrmacht, you both get armored cars and transport vehicles for infantry. These transport vehicles you can reinforce from on the field, or even turn into medical vehicles which heal nearby infantry units out of combat. Lidledede hit the cutoff point on the road. Now, territory sectors have to be connected for you to gain the resources those areas provide. Great move from Lidledede. That observation post on the munitions made redundant until that road flag is recaptured. Infantry section using a rifle grenade on the grenadiers inside the trench, and they scream whilst tossing a grenade back. Grenadiers hurting more, but Rathem Stason is the one to retreat. Sometimes it's like a game of chicken. Lidledede has a flak 30 in the top right. That thing is designed to take out planes, but it can turn people into patty. And rumors on the battlefield is Rathem Stason's got a Humber armored car out, and I get the feeling the Flak 30 will just as easily chew that up too. Let's look at the battle groups. Rathem Stason went for the Indian Artillery Battle Group. In Company of Heroes 3, you can customize your playstyle by choosing a battle group. You bring 3 into each match with you, but you can only pick 1 in the game. They come with unique abilities and units. For Rathem Stason, they can call in various artillery strikes, call in a heavy mortar, and even build an artillery emplacement. The Indian artillery group also comes with an infantry side to it. They call in a special squad called the Gurkha Rifles. They're a tough bunch, and they can throw a flurry of grenades. Lidledede went with the Breakthrough Battle Group. They took the cargo truck, which increases resources in the area that it's parked in, and the assault package, which allows you to upgrade grenadiers to have MP40s, making them lethal in close combat. Lidledede's also brought in a Jaeger squad, grouping them up with grenadiers. What do they intend to do? I think they're looking for the cutoff point again. The only form of resistance here at this time is a sapper squad. The Humber is a short drive away. It arrives, it begins shooting, and now Lidledede knows there's a Humber around. So they can start deciding on how they want to deal with that. You've got a few options as the Wehrmacht. The Jaeger squad can be upgraded with Panzerschrecks. Then there's anti-tank grenades too. The Flak 30 might work. You can try your luck with mines, or maybe there's something from a battle group that you can call in. Alternatively, you can just straight up try to ignore it and minimize the losses it inflicts. Buy yourself some time, tech up, and bring out something more powerful. Grenadiers taking fire. They'll be denied capturing that victory point. Now, Rathem Stason has called for a heavy mortar. This is part of the Indian Artillery Battle Group, and the fantastic thing is, it comes towed by a truck. Rathem Stason was quite fond of having a medical truck in their previous matches. It really augmented their infantry pushes and defenses. And the mortar has amazing range on it. It'll most likely punish any of Lidledede's orders to hold up inside the few residential buildings in the middle. Rathem Stason already trying to make use of that truck. Parking it behind the building, out of line of sight. Keeping that infantry section reinforced whilst they take down the grenadiers, who have no such truck to reinforce them. Lidledede went for the strategy of taking up to bring out a Marder 3. This will easily destroy the Humber armored car. It's overkill if anything, but it might deter Rathem Stason from investing in more armor. Lining up a shot. If you see the flash, it's already too late. Operation Flashpoint 2001. And this is where we get into the interesting mindsets of the commanders. So whilst Lidledede takes care of the observation post generating increased ammunitions, this is where we get into the mindsets of the commanders. Does Lidledede want to try and force their opponent to play more infantry-orientated battles? That Marder 3 effectively saying, don't get tanks, I'll blow them up. Or is Rathem Stason saying, you have a Marder 3. If I don't get tanks, that thing is effectively useless. And you have this chunk of metal costing you upkeep and population. Whilst the Marder 3 is powerful, it's also very lightly armored. Even 80 rifles wielded by the British infantry will destroy them. And I think 3 to 4 volleys, that's 6 to 8 shots. Some Jaegers have worked their way into the corner of the map, taking the munitions away from the British. Also giving time to pioneers to lay some mines down on the victory point. It's not the only corner that Lidledede is pressuring. They've sent their Kettenkrad to capture the other far corner, really stretching the British forces. An incursion happening just north side of the road. Grenadiers taking the +5 munitions point. Loading up the grenades in 2 locations. This is testing Rathem Stason's micro ability. One squad does dodge, but the other eats a full grenade. Another Humber offering assistance, which means the Marder 3 will be on its way. Rathem's going to need to be quick to micro their Humber to keep it alive. In spite of British losses, it does appear that the British have repelled the attack, holding on to most of their ground. Lidledede just not able to take that victory point. Has the Flak 30 even fired a shot yet? I don't recall hearing it. Over on the bottom side of the map, Rathem Stason is being lured into a machine gun. The flamethrowers back up to a crater. Infantry section kind of got lucky there. They did run into a mine, but it was literally just one soldier that did so. Rathem Stason retreats them anyway. I think they would have been fine. Now, when you are suppressed and pinned, which is when your squad is flashing red and hitting the dirt, they actually take reduced damage. Sometimes it can be beneficial just to, stay low on the ground and let another squad come up and try and flank the machine gun. It's heavily reliant on you attacking with multiple squads at the same time, though. Sending in one squad alone severely limits what you can accomplish when the unexpected happens. And the unexpected is guaranteed to happen. Flak 30 opens fire on the Humber. Marder 3 hones a shot. It's not even needed. That's the second Humber in quick succession lost. Great time for Lidledede to push up. And they've scored a triple cap. At least Rathem Stason has all of their infantry sections, and they don't have to worry about the Marder 3. But what will Lidledede bring in next that Rathem will have to worry about? As I say, getting a second Humber out when there was a Marder 3 on the field, I mean, destroy my Humber once, shame on you. Destroy my Humber twice, shame on me. There's action in multiple places, tank traps being constructed at the bottom, but the Pioneers are getting blasted by the sappers. Oh, is that a dead Pioneer squad? It is. Grenadiers, on the other hand, tried to go for the medic truck. Tossing a grenade on the infantry section. It's a good grenade, but that Grenadier squad is possibly going to be wiped here. This is exactly an AT rifle blasted the retreating soldier. This is exactly the win that Rathem Stason needed. I find losing infantry a bigger deal than vehicles. You want infantry with veterancy, experienced soldiers who outperform the rookies. So although buying a new squad is cheaper than a vehicle in most cases, it's harder to get the veterancy back compared to a vehicle. If a tank kills another tank, it'll likely get promoted. Check out Lidledede carting around the Flak 30 to the other side of the map. Just trying to switch things up, be unpredictable. Keep Rathem Stason guessing. Bring in 2 Grenadier squads down here as well. I don't recall if I mentioned these tank traps earlier. They're not going to stop a tank, given their position. It does take a long time to build tank traps as well. But this map is quite wide open. Tank traps better suited for closing down a street or a choke point, but choke points hardly exist here. Nice grenade in the machine gun, sends it packing. Gurkhas in the middle. Assault grenadiers equipped with MP40s. Getting in close, but even so, this is exactly how tough the Gurkhas are. But the MP40s were running as they were shooting, so they were not as accurate as the Gurkhas who were just stood still behind those boxes. For a moment, Rathem Stason had 3 capped right back. A wild swing in direction. To see 3 victory points go from red to blue is, well, unheard of, which isn't saying anything because this game isn't even out yet. Coming out on the 23rd of February, 2023. It could already be out now. Lidledede consolidating their forces, focusing heavily on the bottom. I believe they'll move towards the middle after. They still have this Jaeger squad up here taking cover behind the wall. Rifle grenade away before the infantry section retreats, and good on them. Inflicting maximum pain before retreating. Rathem Stason playing the infantry game now. If they were going to bring out a tank, they'd have to take up to a company command post, that last building that they can get, and they could get a Matilda tank, which would be heavy enough to literally tank some of the Marder shots. But if the infantry can advance with the Matilda behind, that Marder would have to retreat. If it got a sticky grenade on it, it'd likely be dead. Of course, my advice is always to tackle tanks with 2 sources of anti-tank. Try and persuade fate to be on your side. Infantry section got suppressed by machine gun. Lidledede has done well to keep moving that HMG around. Grenade inside the building. Rathem Stason retreats in time. Now, usually you don't get suppressed when in heavy cover, which tells me that infantry section must have only just got behind that wall. Grenadiers, extremely aggressive considering the health they have remaining. Another squad of grenadiers. Are they going to get away? Nope. A little bit too aggressive from Lidledede. They did move up their machine gun. Plenty of units to suppress. Rathem Stason's going to try and move around the side with the sapper squad. But they should have taken a wider arc around, straight into that machine gun fire. The wormy bar stewards are crawling. But I think they've been trapped in the quicksand steward tank. Oh, you must be truly desperate, Rathem Stason. Whilst the steward tank will easily deal with the machine gun once it hits a few shots. Maybe it needs to get slightly closer. I mean, the steward tank is great, by the way. I think it's the best light tank in the game. However, Rathem Stason likes to use their vehicles in a straight frontal battle. Light tanks work best when flanking. They work best with tact and guile. They aren't UFC fighters. They are the weak bully that slaps you around the side of the head when you aren't looking, and then goes on to tell the teachers, who in this analogy I hope are armed with bazookas, in order to take down any machine designed to separate soul from flesh. What I'm saying is, I don't think the steward tank plays to Rathem Stason's strengths. Anyway, infantry are amassing around the compound. Grenadiers take to the walls as a German half-track carrying the Flak 30 drives through the place. Are they going for the choke point? 80 rifles hitting the half-track. Sticky grenade went off on it. A ton of grenades over the wall. Flames flying both ways. That half-track is not getting out of there. The Flak 30 blocked by that high wall, so it just needs to reposition ever so slightly. Grenadiers charge the infantry section behind the Humber. Running into a mine. Well played, Rathem Stason. They don't get the rifle grenade off, but if it did hit, it probably would have wiped, well, potentially 2 squads. Now, I was going to say that the Humber there got to see some use as a wreck. Infantry can hide behind vehicle wrecks, and it looks glorious. However, in that circumstance, the Grenadiers did have the high ground, and I'm not too sure how the interaction works, but it seems if you're in heavy cover and the opposing squad has a height advantage, it seems to negate that cover. And I'm only basing this on the damage. We have a Nebelwerfer firing away, trying to hit that mortar, but it is so inaccurate. See if any of the shots hit. 1 more to go. The mortars are burning. They didn't take a direct hit, but they are hurting. They'll have to go back to base and heal up. Sometimes artillery doesn't directly hit, but it doesn't mean it isn't useful. As Jack O'Neill once said, this is a weapon of fear. Granted, I did take that quote out of context, but that's what artillery can be. It's sometimes just so scary, people retreat. We'll certainly get into a large conversation of how you can use artillery in Company of Heroes 3. Now is not the time for it. Gurkha rifles blow up a little bit of the wall, giving chase to the Jaegers. Vet 2 Jaegers, backed up by some Grenadiers. Not a battle they can take, as tough as they are. On the north side of the map, Grenadiers have found an infantry section, and they've got some flamethrowers of their own. I love seeing the squads of weapons they don't usually have. Ooh, nice rifle grenade, giving the Grenadiers a present before they leave the territory in their hands. There's a heated fight in the middle. Looks like this infantry section is getting surrounded. Where's the backup? So many grenades in the last couple of minutes. Throw another 2 on that pile. Both squads eliminating each other from this fight. And the regular squads get replaced by the elites. Fantastic. Jaeger's trying to chase down that kill. No luck there. Gurkhas just behind them. The Jaegers have moved up enough to scout out where that mortar location is, trying to call in the Nebelwerfer, but it's out of range. Lidledede might lose this middle victory point, and they've yet to capture the top one as well. Is the Nebelwerfer still going to fire just on the road? It is! Is there anyone in the blast zone? It doesn't seem so. Infantry section just escaping the area. The truck just outside of the range as well. I always think it's kind of a waste of artillery to fire blindly. And if you are going to fire blindly, I think it's better to fire on capture zones, or at least wait until a zone is being taken, because then you guarantee know that something is in the area. You might at least be able to delay a capture. Steward tank still sitting back at base for Rathem Stason. I'm sure he could help out at the top here. That steward tank is like a cowardly lion. If you find yourself in this scenario, strike fast with your light tanks. Bring that steward tank in, fire 2 shots, then run into the other side of the map, ready to have a couple seconds of limelight over there. It'll make your opponent have to keep guessing and make them spend time managing their anti-tank. You never know. That even might buy you some time to get that lethal grenade off. Whilst their screen time is fixated on their Marder 3 tank, you wipe out a squad. Both commanders have 84 points left, except for Rathem Stason, who has 277. Control falls over to them with a 3 cap. The ball is in Lidledede's court, but then again, the Stuart is in the parking lot for Rathem Stason. I feel like the Wehrmacht have been doing incredibly well when it comes to the fights, but when it comes to the victory points, a different tale is spun. Lidledede in previous matches did seem to neglect the victory points quite frequently, and it's those 3 caps, those small interludes where the points are ticking down super fast, that just reduce the amount of time that Lidledede has to really make these fights go on longer and perhaps eliminate some of the units which are prolonging the game. Rathem Stason, on the other hand, likes to sit on the victory points, likes to ensure that one of them is guarded by something. In fact, Lidledede doesn't seem to really guard their victory points. They seem to have a very overly aggressive response. Artillery just being flung at this middle victory point. It's 1-1, so no tickets decreasing for anybody, but a lot of craters appearing in the middle of the map now. The Marder 3 is charging through midfield. I can only imagine its purpose is going for the medic truck, which is still there. You gotta make sure your infantry is near the Marder 3 just in case, and the Flamethrower Grenadier Squad is there for it. You never know what lingers in the fog of mystery. Gurkhas impose themselves on the Marder, expeditiously retreating. Rathem Stason tried to get a sticky off and then rush it with a Stuart. Meanwhile, on the bottom, a flak attacks the Gurkhas that are getting hammered. Exploded by 600 grams of fragmentation. Oh, sadly losing the Gurkhas there. And I just want to point out that Lidledede has a warehouse full of manpower. I think the veterans know what that means. But for the new folks, let's not spoil the surprise. Let's just enjoy the explosions. Suddenly, though, some things make sense. It's Rathem Stason that remains in the lead for now, at least in terms of victory points. Ooh, it's here. It's finally here. It's the first Tiger tank of the tournament. There's definitely a collection of people watching who have been waiting to see one of these in action, and a subcategory of those people who see that there's 277 tickers still on the clock, and a lot of time for this Tiger to do something. These Tiger tanks are a hot debate, labeled as, or at least I feel, undefeatable. Yeah, I disagree. I had the luxury of going up against one, but they are a boss battle, and I'm not sure Rathem Stason is ready for a boss battle. Artillery called down on the flak 30. They gonna get it? I mean, this artillery is just barely missing the Gurkhas. I'm not sure how powerful friendly fire is. But that airburst shot has to kind of be a direct hit for it to have any impact. Tiger tank sitting in the middle. And I'm sure Rathem Stason is feeling slightly demotivated. The Stuart tank frozen in fear. What do I do? What do I do? Definitely sense the panic. Don't panic! Don't panic! Seriously though, even a Stuart tank can have a hand in taking down a tiger. There's no one thing that you can ever bring to kill a tiger. You're gonna need a minimal of 2 things and most likely 3 things. Rathem Stason, though, might not be in a position to field such counters. It's just a banquet for a tiger going on safari. Grenade isn't gonna do much. Ideally, and you're gonna have to talk ideals when fighting a freaking tiger, I'd want a squad of foot guards. You can make them from the last building the Brits build. They come with a bazooka. And then I'd take a Grant or a Matilda or a battle group Churchill. Any tank that could take 3 shots or more. I wish I knew how many shots a Churchill could take. I never saw it. I can't wait to see that. And for my 3rd unit, I'd go ahead and take that Stuart. Just something nimble. Open with the heavy tank. Get that turret to turn on you. Run in the foot guards. That's squatted by another squad of infantry in the side. Potentially get rear shots on that foot guard. That'd be fantastic. When the turret starts to turn on the infantry or the tank starts to retreat, rush in the Stuart from the other direction. Just hit that tiger from as many angles as possible and get a sticky grenade off on it. Then to slow it down. Slow it to stop it from reversing out of the way and into safety, because you got to destroy that thing in one go. But Rathem Stason is just going through the 7 stages of loss. Shock, denial, a lot of anger, bargaining, which of course doesn't work on Lidledede because Lidledede has got bargains, bargains, bargains. 50% off this infantry section right now. 2 for 1 Gurkhas now with extra flak. Our helpful grenadier staff will be there to bag your items and your cold, dead, grenaded bodies. Sorry, that got dark. Think happy tiger thoughts. Happy tiger thoughts, yeah. Oh, and Rathem Stason has surrendered. Before we have a taste of the reckoning for the Wehrmacht, just a reminder to come on down to Discord Town. Quite a sudden end. Community has everything one concluded. Except this is a best of 3. And we're looking for kind souls to retake the whole of the UK. There's many reasons to join. I'll pick one not from a hat. I certainly don't want to be a downer, but I've recently been flipped off by the treatment of the LGBT community, and particularly the treatment of the T part of that. This last week, with various news articles, it's been abysmal. So if you're annoyed like me, then let's be annoyed together in Ironcast and be extremely inclusive. Sorry, this became kind of a weird recruitment drive, so let's just go to match 2. And we'll watch things blow up. Yeah, you like explosions, don't you? Yeah, good. Okay, my name's Inuki, and I'll see you soon.
All engineers out of contact.